There are moments in life when the world does not collapse with the sound of an explosion. Instead, it falls apart quietly, with the simple signing of a document, the closing of a front door, or the silence that follows after years of love suddenly disappear. The hardest battles are often the ones no one can see. Divorce is one of those battles. It can make a person question their worth, destroy their confidence, and leave them standing in the middle of a life they no longer recognize. But sometimes, the end of one chapter becomes the only path toward discovering a stronger version of yourself. This is the story of survival, heartbreak, healing, and hope. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of the human spirit, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who may need hope today, and subscribe to Real Feel Story Hub for more emotional stories that remind us we are never truly alone. Emma had never imagined that the home she spent 12 years building would one day feel like a museum filled with memories that no longer belonged to her. Every room carried echoes of birthdays, family dinners, quiet evenings, and dreams they once promised would last forever. Yet after years of emotional distance, countless misunderstandings, and the slow disappearance of affection, her marriage finally ended. Friends told her she was strong, but strength was not what she felt. Every morning became a battle against loneliness. Every evening reminded her that the person who once promised forever had become a stranger living somewhere else. The legal process ended quickly, but the emotional wounds remained open. It was not the divorce papers that hurt the most. It was waking up every day wondering whether she had failed as a wife, a mother, and a human being. The first months after the divorce were the darkest season of Emma's life. Bills piled up while she struggled to adjust to a single income. The silence inside the house became almost unbearable after her children spent weekends with their father. She often found herself sitting beside the kitchen window for hours, staring outside without realizing the sun had already disappeared behind the trees. Social media made everything worse. Pictures of smiling couples and happy families constantly reminded her of everything she believed she had lost forever. Some friends quietly disappeared because they did not know how to handle her pain. Others chose sides without asking for her version of the story. Isolation became her daily companion. One evening, while organizing old family photographs, Emma noticed something she had never paid attention to before. In almost every picture, she was smiling for everyone else. She remembered planning vacations, solving family problems, supporting her husband during difficult times, helping the children with school, and making sure everyone around her felt loved. Somewhere along that journey, she had forgotten herself. Divorce had not stolen her identity overnight. She had slowly surrendered it over many years without even realizing it. That painful discovery became the first small spark of change. Healing did not begin with dramatic success or instant happiness. It started with tiny decisions that seemed almost meaningless. Emma forced herself to wake up early every morning and walk around the neighborhood before sunrise. The fresh air reminded her that every day still offered another chance to begin again. She started writing her thoughts inside a small notebook instead of allowing sadness to remain trapped inside her heart. She read books about emotional recovery, attended community support groups, and listened to stories from people who had survived similar heartbreak. Every story convinced her that pain was not permanent. Recovery was possible, even if it arrived slowly. Financial struggles remained one of her greatest challenges. Emma accepted freelance work during evenings after finishing her regular office job. Some nights she slept only a few hours before starting another busy day. Exhaustion often pushed her close to giving up, but every paycheck represented another small step toward independence. She no longer viewed money as simply paying bills. It became proof that she was capable of standing on her own. The confidence she gained through hard work slowly replaced the fear that had controlled her since the divorce. Her relationship with her children also changed in unexpected ways. Instead of pretending everything was perfect, Emma chose honesty. She focused on creating peaceful memories rather than expensive experiences. Movie nights at home, homemade dinners, long walks in the park, and honest conversations slowly built a stronger connection than they had ever shared before. Her children did not need a perfect family, they needed a parent who showed resilience, compassion, and unconditional love. Without realizing it, Emma was teaching them one of life's greatest lessons. Broken families can still create beautiful lives. There were setbacks along the journey. Some anniversaries reopened old wounds. Certain songs brought tears without warning. Seeing her former husband move on with his life sometimes made her question her own progress. Healing was never a straight road. Some days felt like victories while others felt like returning to the beginning. Yet every difficult day ended differently than before. Instead of believing the pain would last forever, Emma reminded herself that emotions, like storms, eventually pass. Months gradually turned into years. Emma discovered hobbies she had abandoned long ago. She joined a local photography club where she learned to capture beauty hidden inside ordinary moments. Through her camera lens, she noticed sunsets, children's laughter, elderly couples holding hands, and strangers helping one another during difficult times. She realized the world had always contained beauty. Her heartbreak had simply prevented her from seeing it. The greatest transformation happened quietly within her own heart. She stopped asking why the marriage ended and started asking what she could become because it ended. That single change in perspective gave her freedom. She no longer measured her value by someone else's ability to love her. She began measuring it by her own courage, kindness, resilience, and growth. Forgiveness became another important milestone. Not because the past suddenly became acceptable, but because carrying resentment only extended her suffering. Letting go did not erase the memories. It simply removed their power to control her future. Emma eventually began mentoring others experiencing divorce. At local support meetings, she shared practical advice about rebuilding confidence, managing finances, protecting mental health, and accepting that healing requires patience. She reminded every person that survival begins with accepting pain rather than hiding from it. She encouraged people to ask for help without shame, to rebuild routines one small step at a time, and to remember that loneliness is temporary when hope remains alive. Her own scars became the evidence that recovery was possible. One afternoon, while sitting on the same kitchen chair where she had once cried for hours, Emma noticed something remarkable. The room had not changed. The house remained the same. But she had completely transformed. The silence that once frightened her now brought peace. The empty chair across the table no longer represented abandonment. It represented freedom to create a future that belonged entirely to her. She smiled without forcing it for the first time in years. Divorce had once appeared to be the end of her story. Instead, it became the beginning of a life built on authenticity rather than fear. She learned that survival does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means continuing to move forward even while carrying emotional scars. It means believing tomorrow can still hold joy after yesterday brought unimaginable pain. Most importantly, she discovered that losing a relationship does not mean losing yourself. Sometimes it is the very experience that helps you finally discover who you truly are. Before we reach the end of this story, please leave a comment below and tell us one lesson you believe helps people heal after heartbreak. Your words may become the encouragement someone else desperately needs today. If Emma's journey touched your heart, please support this video by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to Real Feel Story Hub. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who may be struggling silently and searching for hope when they need it most. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the horizon, Emma stood outside her home watching the sky glow with soft colors that reminded her life never stays dark forever. Every sunset quietly promises another sunrise. Every ending secretly carries the possibility of a new beginning. The road through divorce had been painful beyond words, but it had also revealed courage she never knew existed within her heart. She finally understood that survival is not about escaping pain. It is about allowing pain to shape wisdom instead of bitterness, strength instead of fear, and hope instead of despair. And for anyone walking through the lonely road of divorce today, remember this simple truth: your story is not over. The strongest chapter may still be waiting to be written.